Okay, so the aim of the network modeler is to come out with a bill of materials, and therefore they need to understand the actual equipment characteristics, the throughput capacity, even the things like information per card and what's actually there in terms of port types and port counts. In terms of the equipment characteristics, they're looking at things like, how much floor space is this equipment going to take up? And I've been involved in studies when I was in the US of having to figure out, well, okay, for this particular storage network provider or this particular application service provider, the amount of managed services they want to offer to gain X number of dollars in revenue, they need to ensure that they have the actual equipment space to place all this stuff in. So floor space is important, and if you're thinking about building a storage network facility in the States as opposed to Australia, as opposed to France or New Zealand, the costs are very different as well. You're even looking at rack sizes and the dimensions of a rack and the dimensions of an actual computer or physical server, and placing that rack, placing the equipment in the rack, and how many maximum customers can you actually serve, given different types of e-business services that you're offering. Power usage is another one. Are your products power economical? Maybe we can, and we're happy to pay for these costs in Australia, but in other countries, electricity could be an exorbitant ongoing cost. The reliability of your products, how many tests has Nortel done, for example, to prove that their products are highly reliable? And there have been many, many cases overseas where banks have just gone completely dead for a day while their vendors were busily trying to, restore services and restore products that had failed. And these kinds of things are very damaging for a vendor who's trying to establish a reliability or quality type of brand image. So making sure that these horror stories don't happen at the wrong times is paramount, and a lot of the product specialists are working behind the scenes to ensure that products are always on, if that makes sense, or always available. The cost of these products also is a role that perhaps the modeler doesn't have to take into, as close importance as the business case analyst, but they still need to raise the question, is this the product we want to put forward? And how much capacity and what type of information does that particular box actually allow to get through? Does it allow for multimedia services or just plain old telephony services? And what are the connections per second it can handle, and things like packets per second through that particular box? So all these things, from the number of shelves to the number of slots in the interface to how much bandwidth the box can handle, are important in actually counting the pieces of equipment that are needed in the network and telling the customer, okay, this is how much this solution will cost you in terms of the capital expenditure.